Back since fall of last year, we've been following the ongoing activities of a class action lawsuit against the DNC by a number of people who supported Bernie Sanders, donated money to Bernie Sanders, and feel that they were in effect defrauded because they gave that money to Bernie Sanders feeling that there was an open and free and fair and impartial primary system. They feel like the revelations of what took place during the primary show that that's not the case, and thus they gave money under false pretenses. Now, this court case has been ongoing, and thanks to TYT Politics, they've uncovered the court transcript of one of the most recent hearings has been posted on a PAC's website. So we now have some arguments being made by the lawyer for the DNC that are at the very least quite interesting and worded in a way that I wouldn't have gone down this direction, but we're gonna read some for you. First, and this is from Brad Spiva, a lawyer for the DNC, saying, "There is no right to, just by virtue of making a donation, to enforce the party's internal rules." We're gonna return to that. "And there's no right to not have your candidate disadvantaged or have another candidate advantaged. There's no contractual obligation here." But it goes beyond just that general argument. There's an example given. Brad said, "But here, when you have a party that's saying, we're gonna choose our standard bearer, and we're gonna follow these general rules of the road, which we are voluntarily deciding, we could have voluntarily decided that, look, we're gonna go into back rooms like they used to and smoke cigars and pick the candidate that way. That's not the way it was done, but they could have. And that would have been their right, and it would drag the court well into party politics, internal party politics, to answer those questions." Now, the reference there to enforcing the party's rules is because there's concern that the DNC was not abiding by their rules to be impartial in the primary process. This comes from the DNC Charter, Article 5, Section 4, that says, "The chairperson shall exercise impartiality and even-handedness as between the presidential candidates and campaigns." And people cite a number of different instances in which the former head of the DNC, W. Wasserman Schultz, fairly clearly was not impartial, was not even-handed, and we can disagree on the extent of how much this actually mattered, worked to advantage one candidate who shall go unnamed over another.
We've talked before about the fact that the Democratic National Committee is, it is a cabal in a sense. A lot of stuff is pre-decided, and they, in a way, get into a room, maybe not literally, but maybe literally, and figure out who the best candidate to put forward is. There may be no sin in that because they are trying to tactically agree as to where they should apply their strategies. But I turn to you because whether or not this is an actionable thing, I think it's creative.
If you're the lawyer in that case for the DNC, that's exactly what you're going to say. I mean, I didn't have a real problem with anything you said until he got to the impartiality of Debbie Wasserman Schultz, right? I mean, because she clearly wasn't, and if that's what you're bound to be, then she wasn't. And
I wouldn't have said the part where, like, if we wanted to simply go in a room and choose the nominee, that's our right. I think, especially considering the political context going on right now.
But isn't it the right?
But I think it is their right. The Republicans could literally have done that.
Yeah.
I know, I'm saying I think they could. The Democratic Party, like every political party, is a private organization. They should change their charter if they're gonna go in that direction. They could have done that. I would not pitch my argument in that way, I would say.
I see what you mean.
I think
that's just illegal.
He was being a lawyer there by saying, hey, look, we can even meet in the back of a car somewhere and make this decision.
Right.
Yeah. He's trying to make it extreme.
Yeah. And like when George H.W. Bush was running in 88 and then 92, Pat Buchanan challenged him in 88. The Republicans behaved exactly the same way. And of course, you don't want to always compare yourself to your opponent, but the party politics stuff, that's just going to happen, and maybe they should change it. It's a product of the duopoly, and I'm not just sitting back here and saying it should go on that way. But clearly, this is a lawyer trying to find the best way to win a class action lawsuit, and I'm not irked by what he's saying, even the stuff that I disagree with.
Yeah, we have to acknowledge it's a lawyer. It's not an actual member of the DNC. He says there that he doesn't believe that it was rigged. You can disagree with him, but that's what he's saying. I think it's clear that if you're going to have a claim to impartiality, you cannot. I mean, look, everybody in politics is connected in various ways. If you've been in DC for a number of decades, you're gonna know people. But certain people being the head of the DNC during a primary seems like a bad idea when they have a clear history with certain candidates. I would not go in that direction again. Now, it's frustrating. I don't like the way they're pitching this. I think that it's short-sighted. I think that I don't know that necessarily those trying to get the money back have much of a case because donations are donations. but I think that they're digging the hole even deeper here. Now, some people have gone farther and tried to say that this is the DNC admitting that they rigged the election. I'm not sure how you derive that from this actual quote. I'm sure maybe it feels good to say that or to think that that's there. But I think that this is a horrible direction to go in. I think, again, it's the lawyer, it's not them. They're not necessarily in charge, but they need to avoid these sorts of things if they're going to reaffirm to people that there's actually the possibility of positive change in the party's future.
All right, but here, let me play devil's advocate for a quick second on that. I mean, they probably would say, hey, look, by this lawsuit, by this class action, we're going to expose or re-expose or enter into the discussion once again these flaws in this party. And there's no question that the party political system is flawed, and they would say, and these flaws need to be addressed. And if we need to address them in this awkward, ugly way, then we'll do it.
Yeah, I think so. If you're going to give $100 to Bernie Sanders and you want him to be president, and then you find out that he isn't where you are on a certain issue, you can't go after Bernie Sanders and say, wait, I want my money back. I mean, in a way you can, and sometimes campaigns do give money back. But I feel like this is really all about the legalese, and this, class action lawsuits are usually brought by opportunistic lawyers, and it's probably a lawyer fighting against an opportunistic lawyer, another opportunistic lawyer.
Well, I mean, look, TYT Politics did an interview with that lawyer, and I mean, the rhetoric coming out of him is that this is fundamentally about how you conduct a democracy, how much ability people have to actually get the candidate that they want. And so I do think that we should be very concerned with that. There's a lot, as Donald Trump says, there's a lot of archaic rules, not just in the US government, but in the parties. And I think that all of those theoretically can be looked at, and in some cases, like with the parties, I mean, we're not in the smoke-filled rooms anymore, but in some ways, perhaps we haven't come as far from those rooms as we should, and there's still time to change that.
We're not the Young Turks, you're the Young Turks. You power this show. Together, we built something amazing. We've broken stories like the Donna Brazile story the mainstream media wouldn't break. We built the studio, we built this network. It's now #1, all thanks to you guys. Let's come build it even bigger and stronger. TYTnetwork.com/join.